In a strange castle with a strange landscape, Amelia was running barefoot. Though having spent a year inside Pandemonium, what Amelia knew of the castle was only that white room, her private quarters. Outside her room, and past the inside of the building, had gone completely unexplored by Amelia. And that still did not change. Amelia's interest was not focused on this world. Now, Amelia's concern was only focused on one person, on the boy that had sought her. Amelia-sama! Called by her name, with a startled expression, Amelia stopped her steps. Pandemonium had partially collapsed, losing its original form. In a white corridor, its windows slanted and cracked. Amelia had been halted by a young man with sky-blue eyes and blazing red hair. Reinhardt. Have you been well, Amelia-sama? I'm glad to be able to meet you again. Even in this place, adhering to a knight's courtesy and posture, his attitude was too brave and elegant. That man had run to Amelia's side after finding her. Reinhardt van Estrella bowed his head. But due to his appearance, Amelia's amethyst eyes were shaking from bewilderment. Reinhardt, you're gravely wounded. Are you all right? There's no need to worry. That it is a light wound cannot quite be said. However, saying that, Reinhardt relaxed his lips with Amelia's words. Reinhardt's appearance, to her, was rife with injuries. She had thought it unimaginable. Covering his body were innumerable cuts produced by flashes of a blade, and with the bleeding having not ceased, even now, red droplets of blood were dripping here and there in the white corridor. On those noble and fearless cheeks, strands of crimson hair were scattered about, stuck onto it. On his face was a certain hue of fatigue, albeit she had never seen his breathing in a disturbed state. That white knight's uniform was dirtied and covered in blood, not only another's, but his own as well. And what was shocking above all, your sword! That right here, right now, is a scene for the dragon sword to be drawn, has been judged by the sword. That never drawn, never needed holy sword, that was passed down through the Estrellas. The dragon sword reed, with white light shone. That blade, in this castle, against whom had he wielded it? Against whom would he wield it in the future? Anyway, that Amelia-sama is safe is fortunate. Depart from here alongside me. There is a dragon carriage waiting outside the castle. With it, to Lagunica. To Lagunica? Where is this? This is at the edge of the Kararagi city-states, a hidden castle at the Crimson Hills, Gadal. Finding the organization took great effort, but through the efforts of a competent spy and an insider, it was somehow discovered. While answering Amelia's questions, Reinhardt was regarding his surroundings warily. That even now the shaking continued, and that somewhere in the castle a battle was continuing to take place. In Reinhardt's case, he would wish to head toward his allies to support them. No matter how covered in wounds he was still the kingdom's strongest. No, the world's strongest man. With him, Pandemonium's fall was only a question of time. If he were not here... Amelia-sama, right now, we must hurry from this place. Reinhardt might have been trying to say. However, those words were suddenly interrupted by Amelia's actions, who had spun in place. It was but an instant, From the back, through Reinhardt's abdomen, a sword of ice had pierced. Blood flowed through the blade of frost, his insides being destroyed by the invading cold. The sword saint, at the shock he had never felt before, coughed up blood. Amelia-sama... Ah! Reinhardt, still unable to understand what had happened, fell onto his knees. Watching that appearance, Amelia blankly stared at her own white fingers. What she had done, she was realizing that it really had been an unexpected act. If this had been a betrayal from Amelia's true heart, Reinhardt could have blocked it. Were it an attack holding hostility and intent to kill, Reinhardt's intuition would not be evaded. Or in the case his divine protections were working properly, sure enough, Reinhardt's defense would not have been pierced either. But this place was pandemonium, and Amelia herself could not make up her own mind. That had, in Reinhardt, left a fatal gap. I can't... Not that... Subaru is... no. Reinhardt... no. Subaru... I wouldn't let him be hurt. Subaru needs me. Shaking her head in refusal, Amelia's own actions now corroborated her true intentions. The reason for that instantaneous act, for the instantaneous assault on Reinhardt, was she had instinctively realized that his existence would destroy Pandemonium and target Natsuki Subaru. And, knowing that, she instinctively did not stop herself. It was because she had thought that. Unconsciously, Amelia, for the sake of protecting Subaru, had no choice but to kill Reinhardt. Subaru is my... Only at this point did Amelia understand her own feelings. Again and again, Subaru had come looking for her, and she had watched his form on as she had tried to attain peace of mind. During that time, Amelia had also been saved. Just as Subaru needed Amelia, Amelia also needed Subaru. I will protect him. If I don't protect Subaru, then... Amelia-sama, that is... Puck, please! A roar and a cold wind blew, and her silver hair fluttered beautifully amidst the white hallway. His body bathed in an extremely frigid wind of sublimated intent to kill, and his flesh freezing as it was subjected to severe wind. Reinhardt drew a line of blood in midair as he flew far to his back, and, with his coughing mixed with blood, he lifted his sword. Those blue eyes that reflected the sky, he guarded the Witch of Glaciation and the Beast of the End, standing side by side.
Sorry, Reinhardt. These wishes are my own. If you're that weakened, even I might win. You can think of it as cat-like cruelty.
Please, Reinhardt, return like this. Leave me and Subaru alone. That is not possible. With Amelia having caused this situation, yet still trying to find a satisfactory solution, Reinhardt shook his head. Already, negotiations had broken down. He'd been taken by surprise from behind. No, perhaps Reinhardt himself, even considering his wound, may have accepted the offer of reconciliation if the situation allowed. But Reinhardt's belief, however, was that this was already a situation which did not allow for that. As the head of the Pleiades, the purged king, Natsuki Subaru, starting with the murder of Mangrave Roswell Mathers. Among the people of the kingdom, as well as of the Vulcanian Empire and the Kararagi city-states, and among the subjects of the Holy Kingdom of Gusteco, has already had 126,702 people killed in total. That number only goes for direct damage. When including the indirect damage, the number of victims who have lost their life increases even more. No matter what, it is not an evil that can be left ignored. Reinhardt's words held a serious resonance and held a plea. From listening to his words and learning of Natsuki Subaru's evil deeds, there was a feeling that he was hoping for a change of heart to be born in Amelia from that. In truth, Amelia had received a shock. Stuck in her private quarters, having been left only to the role of watching over Subaru's sleeping face, she had not known of any of his wrongdoing. That Roswell had been killed when she had been pulled out of the mansion, she had vaguely guessed. Struck by that shock, Amelia bowed her head. Shock. It was definitely a shock. However, the shock Amelia felt to her core was not from disappointment about the weight and number of sins Subaru had committed. Sorry, Reinhardt. Still, Subaru is dear to me. Even having learned about those evil acts, her obsession with Natsuki Subaru had not wavered at all. Learning that had been the source of her shock. Amelia's feelings, even knowing the truth, had not changed. Faced with such a declaration from Amelia, Reinhardt bit his lip, and soon, raising his face and directing the drawn dragon sword. Reinhardt van Ostrea of the Sword Saint bloodline. I'm Amelia. Just Amelia. Having each named themselves, at that next moment, a white shock destroyed the uppermost floor of Pandemonium. The captive princess, who had been supposed to be rescued, and a knight in shining armor who had come to rescue her, would end up killing one another.